All right, and I'll turn it over to Colleen to start us and walk us through. Thank you for being here.
You want me to give a little bit of background? Okay. Thank you for all being here. Let me tell you why you're here today. So as all of you have experienced, we've had a few challenges this year with the application for funding portal. I will leave it at that. So something happened late last week. You know, everyone had issues with saving and all kinds of things. So what happened was they went back to a previous version of the application for funding. And when they reverted back, all of the changes to our program narrative section also reverted back, which was alarming at the time. So we set up what I can only describe as a situation room in our boardroom here at the Adamus board. Linda, I saw you kind of passing by while we had set that up with our team. And so our team took the day to kind of navigate how we could go around this, right? We needed that information that all of you had been entering in the application for funding program narrative section, but we were told by the developers that that was no longer going to be a feasible option. So we have a couple of options for you. You can still utilize this application for funding portal. We actually will ask you if you can to utilize the application for funding portal, but the program narrative pieces will be in a Google form. So you will be completely disregarding what is on the program narrative form of the application for funding, and you will just be instead uploading everything into the Google form. So before I confuse anybody or say any more, I will go ahead and turn this over to Colleen, who will actually walk you through this process and both options that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tristan. So I'm going to share my screen here to show you all what the Google form looks like. But before I do that, as we're talking about kind of the portal pieces, I didn't want to confuse anybody and have those up. So like Tristan mentioned, because our portal isn't quite working exactly as we need it and would like it to, and because we have a pretty tight deadline of Thursday to get everything in, our team really got together and came up with a couple of options. So you actually have two options for submitting based on what works best for your organization. And the reason for that is we know that depending on who you are, you may have different things in the portal. So some of you can utilize the portal just fine. Some of you aren't able to save in the portal. Some of you have already saved in the portal. And so we really tried to come up with different options that encompass everybody here. You received an email this morning from Adamus. It went at 8:01 a.m. So if you did not receive that, check your email, but that lays out these options for you and then gives you the various links that you need. So that should all be in your emails. If you did not receive that, please let us know and we'll get that set up for you. Okay. So to kind of explain what our options are. So there's two components that we need you to submit for the application for funding. So two different components. One is your organizational information. So everything we need to know about your organization, your assurances, all your uploads, your contact information, all of the things about your organization that typically go in the portal is number one. So organizational info is number one. Number two is your program narrative. So two separate pieces here, and we're going to talk about them in two separate ways. I'm not sharing yet, Jonathan, almost. We'll get there. So the organizational information is where you have some options on where to submit. So your first option, like Tristan mentioned, is in the portal. So if you're able to save in the portal, if you're able to submit, we know some of you have already started working in the portal, you can submit all of your organizational info through the portal. Just to make sure you actually submit it, hit submit by 5 p.m. on Thursday. Okay, so you can submit all of that in there if that's the situation. We are asking that you not submit any program information in the portal. So if you're able to submit in the portal for your organizational info, please do so. If you are not, here are the options that we came up with. And now I am sharing, so if you cannot see this, please let me know. And Tazeen and Tristan, I'll ask that you help me with the chat if there's things that pop up that I don't see.
Will do.
Thank you. So if you're not able to submit your organizational info in the portal, we have created this lovely Google Doc for you to fill out. I will say this is the back end of the Google Doc. Okay, I'll say it again. This is the back end of the Google Doc. This is not what you will see, but I'll show you what you should see. This is just much easier for me to walk through it this way, to have it up here. So the organizational information are the same exact questions that are in the portal in this Google Doc. Shout out to the prevention team. I was actually not there for this, so not me, that copied everything and typed it again into this Google Doc for you all on Friday. So again, this has all the information that you see in the portal, and then you'll put down the information in here as you did. You will see, for those of you that are not familiar with Google Docs, where you see this little red star, it means that it is a requirement. So you cannot move forward in the Google Doc unless you have all of the required pieces with the star filled out. So please make sure, and it'll tell you, it won't let you go. Please make sure that you have all of the starred pieces filled out. So here's the basic, your contact information, your financial insurance. This is where you'll upload all of the information that we need and the templates that we need. You have the option to upload into Google Docs just as you would upload into the portal. Again, if you don't upload where there's a requirement, you will not be able to move forward in the application. I'm probably making you all dizzy going through this, but just so that you can see some of the questions that you have. Again, these are straight copy and pastes from the portal. Your QI/QA will go in here. Your assurances will get uploaded. Your affirmative action plan. And your facility schedule and your service plan. And up until that point, that is all the organizational information that you will need, and you'll go ahead and submit directly through the Google Doc. Questions about the organizational info piece? I have a lot more to cover about the docs themselves, but Linda, I see your hand. Go ahead. You are muted though, Linda.
Hate it when I do that. Sorry. So I'm with you on what is in the Google Doc. Where I get lost is, where do we submit it at? Is there a submit button? I don't see one anywhere.
Excellent question. So again, remember you're looking at my back end of this. So actually I will go ahead and do this right now. So now I'm previewing. So this, do you see this? Did this change? Okay. This now is what you will see when you click on that link. The reason why this is annoying is because I have to go through the entire form now to be able to show you. But for example, and I'm not going to go through the entire form, you would just continue to input, hit next, and you'll do that throughout the entire doc. And then at the end, you'll see an option to submit. We have it set up automatically. Whoever puts their email address in, so like I just put mine in there, you will get a response sent to your email. So to ensure that it is submitted, you should get an email that has your responses there. If you do not get that email, then something did not go through on the submission. You can also, we got a question this morning, like, can we email you and just make sure that that's all there? Absolutely. If you want to double check, you can do that for us.
Thank you.
Dawn, I saw your hand up, I think.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple questions. One
Okay.
is, okay, because I have all my organizational stuff is in there. So I'm probably going to go with option one.
Okay.
Here's my fear. Normally when you submit, it says, oops, you didn't do this. Oops, you didn't do that. Is it going to say that because I have either no or incomplete program information in?
So I'm going to look at Tristan for this answer. I believe the answer this morning was that if there's with any of the program information, if it gives you trouble with an upload, you can upload a blank document into that.
I'm sorry, are you speaking in terms of the Google form, or are you speaking in terms?
I'm speaking in terms of, I have I entered my new numbers for this year. I was 90% done, so I would like to go with option 1 where I'm using the portal to do the organizational info.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to recommend everyone that can use the portal, please use the portal. Like, it just makes it easy on our side because all of our staff have an easy login. You're not going to be able to upload your program narratives.
Right,
And
I got that. And so
you
is
can-
it, my fear is when I try to submit it, that it's going to say, oh, you can't do that because you don't have the program stuff in.
You can leave, and Rachel had asked this question earlier. If you have things in there, you can leave it in there. But we're just not going to review it because the way it reconfigured, it like combined a whole bunch of stuff, brought back CSAP strategy.
Yeah.
So if there's a space that you don't have filled out, you can just put like a letter in there just so that something is in there, or
anything.
upload
or
a blank document. Yes. And you may have to do that just the way that
Right.
the application for funding portal is configured.
Now, what about the budgets pages and all that? Like, not in the narrative, but in the,
So I would personally prefer that you upload the budgets in the application for funding portal if possible.
so it will let us do that, like, because that's
Yeah.
under
Oh,
programs.
yeah.
It's just the narrative page,
It's
like when
the
you click
narrative.
narrative that, okay, this is less scary right now, so. that's
Yeah,
good.
so if you can upload your budgets in the AFF, that would be best case scenario for our team. But there is a place in the, and we'll get to it. I'm probably jumping ahead. We'll get to
Okay.
it. There is a place in the programs and services Google form for you to upload a budget if you're unable to in the AFF.
Okay. And I just have one more question about
Yep.
email. So when I tried to click on this form, it automatically grabbed my personal Gmail account because that's what my computer knows, because I don't usually really use a work Gmail account.
Yeah.
Does that matter? I mean, can I put my work email in that email slot, and can I just do it from my personal and get my confirmation at my personal? And other than that, it really isn't going to have anything to do with my personal email, Gmail.
Right,
Yes, and
right.
please do.
Please do that. Okay.
Yeah,
So I don't
please
have
use
to
your work
go-
email, because that's what will, the responses will then go to that email.
Okay, so
all
it really
asks is-
doesn't matter that the Google form is going through my personal Gmail. That isn't really going to matter at all.
No, as long as you have access to it and you can review what's being.
Oh, I absolutely have
Yeah.
that. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's one
We
less
won't,
stressor.
we won't
That's
like
good.
send the contracts there or anything, so,
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. That's one less thing to worry about then. Thank you.
yeah.
And it will, so I will say, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving, but I'm circling where it says email. So that's the email that you're gonna want to put in wherever you want us to send the confirmation, or wherever you want Google to send you the confirmation. So make sure that is, all it asks is for a valid email address. So you can update that as necessary. That's a good question, Dawn. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and move into the program narrative piece before I take other questions, just because I think some other questions will be answered by moving into this piece. So again, I've switched Google Docs now. Remember, you're still looking at my back end. So I'm gonna preview it for you in just a second, but you're seeing what I see on the back end of this. So while you have two options for your organizational info, portal or Google Doc, you have one option for your program narrative, and it is to use this Google form that I have up here, also that you received in your email from Adamus this morning. And this is where you will put all of your program narrative information in here. Now, many of you have multiple programs within your agencies. For every program, you will fill out this form once. So if you have 3 programs, you will fill out the form 3 times. The services underneath the program, you can put all onto one form, and I'll show you that in a second. But for your programs, you will fill out this form, same link for every program you have. So if I have 3 programs, I'm filling out the form 3 times and submitting. Does that make sense to everybody?
Aline, can I have
Okay.
3 different people submit 3 different program forms?
You absolutely can, Tristan, and we would recommend that that is what you do. And actually let me get to that in a second. So this is what the program narrative is, what you're seeing in front of you, right? Does everybody see application for funding program narrative at the top? Great, thank you. So again, here's all the information that's on the portal, or that was on the portal as of, 2 months ago or whatever it was. And that you will fill out just like you filled out your organizational info. So again, here's your email option. So again, please use the email that you want your responses to go to. They're automatically set up to do that. You'll tell us a little bit more about your program. Again, these questions should seem familiar from the portal. And then we get into the service section. And so again, while you need to submit a different form for each program, all of the services that go underneath that program can be on one form. And the way that we have that set up is you'll see you have the section 3, which is service. You'll fill out all the information about your service. So you'll give us your narrative, your rationale, your barriers, all of your outputs. We broke up the outputs a little bit. I think this will make it easier for you all to submit, by the way, because we broke out the outputs for you. Your population, your demographics, your evals, your MOUs. You'll notice we ask that you upload your MOUs as a single PDF file. So if you have multiple MOUs, please scan them into one document. That makes it a lot easier for you all, that you're not having to upload a million different things. It makes it so much easier for us to be able to look at one document. So please take all of your MOUs and put them into one document to upload here. So once you fill out all of the information about your service, you'll get this question: do you have additional services to report on? If you hit yes, it takes you to another section and asks you those same exact questions over again, up to 8 times. So I don't think any of you have more than 8 services under one program. But if you do, let us know. I can duplicate that for you. But you just hit yes, submit the next service. If you have another one, yes, submit the next service. Once you're done with all of your services, you'll hit no. And then it'll take you to our last section, which is the budget section. Like Tristan mentioned, you can upload your budgets. Right, Tristan, in the portal, they have that option.
I would rather them be in the portal. If the portal is not working for you, please upload them there. And also, real quick, I want to hit on a couple of things. First off, we didn't preface this by saying this is only for prevention services. I think I know everybody on this call, but if you are applying for either academic support services or youth crisis services, this does not pertain to you. And then also the other piece is this. I'm getting a lot of questions about MOUs here. So this is exactly as it was previously. If a school has submitted the survey and indicated that they have wanted to facilitate a program that you facilitate or host a program that you facilitate, we will be reaching out to the school and obtaining the MOUs. If a school did not fill out the survey and you plan, or a community center did not fill out the survey and you plan to implement programming in that site, you will still need to obtain an MOU. We will not be doing that. And we will expect to see that here in the Google form. So any questions on the MOU piece?
Tristan, I don't have a question on the MOU piece, but I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
That may be I know you got a lot of people on the call, so it may be specific to me. So, but gosh, so I'm representing the rights and stipends at a number of community sites. And I had all that narrative uploaded in the budget to the portal weeks ago, and I thought it was good to go. So first, just to be clarified, so if I uploaded the narrative to the portal weeks ago, that's gone. I need to start again.
No, not necessarily. So you're talking in the program narrative or the budget?
Well, I had both uploaded. There's that page where you can click on upload narrative and then upload budget. I had those uploaded. It didn't work at first, but then when we went back and forth and the website got fixed and it worked for me the second time. And this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mhm. So what I can say, I'm seeing budgets in here. Oops. Everything should still be there. If for whatever reason, and this goes for any provider, if for whatever reason you put all of this information in, you log back in and all of the information is gone, reach out to me immediately, because Ascend, the group that we're working with, actually has backups. They went in and manually saved all of your information. So if you are missing something, please reach out to me and let me know. What I can say is that if you go in and you look at your program narrative, because they removed some of those boxes, things may have shifted. So a piece of information that was previously in one place may have shifted up to another box. So
If I log in, and I haven't done that today, I wasn't sure what was going on. If I log in and it looks like, gosh, all my info is there, it looks good.
mhm.
Am I good to go, or should I use this alternative Google Docs to submit info?
So again, this is only for the prevention programming. So I know that that's only like one piece of what you're doing. So in terms of like the academic supports,
Yes.
you can just submit that as is. The prevention programming is the only piece that will need to be submitted in the program narrative.
Aha. So maybe this doesn't pertain to me. I just want to make double sure that it doesn't.
Yeah, so what programs are you overseeing?
Well, these are student stipend support to places like the Montgomery County Jail,
Okay,
Eastway Forensic Services.
okay.
um,
Sorry, you had cut out when you were explaining it, but I was just like catching on as like it came back. So then this would not pertain to you. You don't have to worry about this piece.
Okay. Well,
So
that's
you
good
can,
news. I will double check that everything looks good on the portal, and not take up any more of your time. So
no,
thank
you're
you.
fine. Let me know if you do have any issues with it
Okay.
though. Nancy.
So just to share, you guys did a really nice job. I came back from this morning's meeting and went in to start over. And if you go in, everybody, if you go in like you were going to enter into the portal, they have this really nice banner at the top in bright yellow that says, "Don't do this." And it has a link for this form you need. So I just went right to the form, filled it out. And I only had one problem that Victor's working on. That was just my issue. But it was really very easy. And so I wasn't so freaked out as I was when I heard all this. So I just wanted to assure everybody. I do have one question. Colleen, if you could scroll back up to that question about how many places you're serving, or
I'm gonna make everybody dizzy for a second, sorry. Number
okay,
of
so
locations, this is what you're looking
yeah,
at?
so it says number of locations and proposed locations. I just put numbers there. Was I supposed to put names of places?
If you have, yes, if you could provide names. So we have all of those schools that submitted the survey. Obviously, you'll know what locations aside from the schools that you intend to serve, because you'll upload MOUs. If there are schools that submitted the survey that you are interested in serving and think that you have the capacity to serve or have a relationship with that school already, please put those down.
Okay, so I'm putting the number we are planning to serve, and then maybe, like, I just got a thing from Amy Bird today that there's a school that might want us to come. So that's where I
Yep.
would put a maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, you're okay to say, these are the ones we have MOUs for, these are the ones that we'd like to serve.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay. But if we're serving them, we don't need to put their name. If they're on your list that they returned an MOU, or you want all the names?
if you can put all of the names, that would be great.
Okay. But anyway, I got through it and it was pretty painless, guys. So I just wanted to assure you, it was kind of scary at first, but I did it.
Thanks, Nancy. And you didn't seem like you were anxious this morning. So if you were, you played it off
Well,
well, but we did
I
get to
reserved it
practice
till
on
I reserved it till I tried it.
you were great for us to practice on. So thank you. So just a couple more pieces with this program narrative, and then we'll open it up for some more questions. So again, this budget piece is at the bottom. If you are able to submit your budget through the portal, please do so. If you're not, this is here for you. This is not a requirement to submit the form. So if you leave the budget blank because you put it in the portal, we're good. But if you're not able to put it in the portal, here's just another spot for you to do this in your Google form. So again, while you have the option for your organizational info to do portal or Google Docs, for the program narrative, you must submit through the Google Doc form. One form per program. Does that make sense? All right, one of the last tip that I have for you, which Tristan was getting at earlier, is that we have set up the form, and now I'm in preview mode, so you're seeing what you'll see. We have set up the form to save your responses. We think that is only for the best. If you log out, if you walk away, if your computer crashes or whatever, as long as you log in through the same account you were using, your responses will be saved. So I did this morning. Here's my answers. I moved on to the next one. When I go back, my answers are still there. Which is, I think is really helpful and I think was the right decision. However, it means that you cannot be working on the same form through the same login at the same time. Okay, so we would recommend that for every program you submit, if you're able to, having a different person submit it. We realize that's not the case for every team, that you're not able to do that. But if you have the situation where you have different program managers, it's much easier for them to submit their own forms. Because what will happen is, let's say I submit the form that I'm on. When I go back to submit for my next program, my answers are still going to be here and I'm going to have to write over them. And so we don't want you writing over each other's, and we want you to make sure that you submit one program before you start working on the next program. Okay, so you will get to the point where you'll see an answer that you need to write over for the next program. Please make sure that you have submitted that program before you delete it and write for the next one. And the way you can check for that is from the responses sent to your email. So if you do not have the responses in your email that say, hey, this has been submitted, here's your confirmation, it means that it's not been submitted to us. So double check that. And then if you need to go back in and do another program, do that afterwards. Questions about that? That's just our tip, but we think it's most important that we're saving your responses. So that can be a little bit tricky, but that's just what we have to do with Google so that we can save them. Questions? Confusion on that?
Hi, this is Cindy. I don't have a question about what you just said. That makes sense, and I'm glad you're saving it. I also just logged in to the portal and went to program part because everything else we have been able to upload and it's saved. So that's cool. When I entered my email, it said it couldn't find the Google account. And I think that's because our agency doesn't have Google Docs. Any recommendations with that?
It shouldn't ask you, like, because for example, I'm using my Adamus account. So that should be all fine to go through because we're not asking you to log into Google. We're just asking you to give us your correct email address. But are you saying it's not letting you do that?
It made me do that, Colleen. We don't have a Google account either, so I just created one. But I used my work email address to create a Google account, and it went smoothly and it worked. So if you just follow the prompts, it'll
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll have to create a Google account through that. You'll at least have to have like a password so you can get back in and view and edit your application. If we had done it where you couldn't edit it or couldn't save it, then you wouldn't have needed that. But because there's a potential of you going back in, you'll have to have a password.
it'll say, do you want to create a Google account or would you like to use another account? And I chose another account and just used my work account, my work Premier account, and it let me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. I'm glad that you tried that. It also looks like Emma is a champ and did download the applications into a PDF file for you, and she threw those into the chat. So that was a really good recommendation from Dawn. So now you can see all of the questions that you'll need without having to click through. Okay, I think I'm going to stop sharing for now. But I'm happy to go, well, I'm happy to go back and share things, but those are pretty much all my tips and tricks and the overview of the Google Doc. So we're happy to answer any other questions that you all have. Oh, Jeremy, I see ya.
Hey, thanks. Rationale says 500 characters. I thought we were at 1250. I could be mistaken.
Okay, so we're just asking, please be concise. Please be concise. This isn't an actual character count. It's not an actual limit. It won't cut you off if you put, 5,000 characters.
No. I just had everything underneath 1250, just like.
Yeah, so it's not,
Okay.
it was just put in there.
All right, it's hard to do that in 2 tweets. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep. Linda.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So I want to start with the budget forms, or are we going to do a separate thing on that?
No, what question do you have about the budget forms?
Okay, so you have to forgive me for everyone else is on here. It's my first time through the prevention side. It seemed to me that on the attached budget templates that came with the email, it looked to me that they were monthly summaries as opposed to giving the full year calculation for the budget. And so I don't know if that's going to be different when I go back into the portal, but it was a very different template than I'm used to having filled out when I was doing the treatment side.
Sorry, there's like sirens in the background. Let me double check what went out. It should have been your annual budget. I mean, Doug, unless there's something else going on.
Yeah, I'm checking right now. Hi, everybody. Yeah, it should be the annual budget, and I can get you that template, Linda.
I appreciate
Is there
that.
anyone else seeing that?
I think what we got was invoice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Jeremy, I could barely hear you.
I think what we got was the invoice template. We didn't get the budget template like we're used to having. We already had that, but I think what we got in the email was, it didn't look, it said financial.
Jeremy,
invoice.
would you mind sharing that real quick?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Can you
No, it
share?
is the invoice template.
The invoice template would be the first worksheet, and the second worksheet would be the budget.
Oh, yeah.
But if Jeremy, can Jeremy share, Tristan, or?
So if
Colleen?
I can share here.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know that I have permission. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. So here, this is the invoice summary here. And then this is the invoice detail, which is where we would want, I mean, you can.
I see where the confusion's at.
Yeah, ignore the invoice pieces, but this is still what we're going to be looking for. Your personnel and salary costs, your travel, your equipment, your supplies, all of this. So it's just the other tab. I know this is like the monthly invoice. And honestly, it's on it should be on the portal. And you can submit through the portal as well.
okay.
But
And then-
yeah, it's just that second tab.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The other question is for those of us that were working in Word. So we copy paste into your Google Docs on the program description. That's what you want us to do?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And
Please copy and paste if you have the option to. We don't want anybody to retype things out. So if it works, please do that.
okay. So So I think I'm okay now that I understand the back end, you working back end, but when we're in it, there's a submit button for everything we put in Google Docs. So that's the end of my questions for now. Thank you very much. And you guys have done a stellar job at troubleshooting in the 11th hour. So thank you for your patience on our questions.
Thank you. What other questions? Is there anything I missed in the chat?
Tristan, there's one more thing in the chat about MOUs. It says if you upload MOUs and the additional uploads in the portal, will that be okay? And they won't need to upload the program Google Doc.
I'm okay with that, as long as you ensure all of the MOUs are uploaded. Otherwise it would be incomplete.
There are no other questions in the chat, and I don't see anyone's hand raised right now.
Okay, so with that said, if you do have questions, if you do have any kind of technical issues, feel free to reach out to our team. Again, just want to reiterate, you do not have to enter anything in the program narrative section of the application for funding. Well, you don't have to enter any substantial information in the application for funding. What you probably will have to do is go through and put at least one character in each box and maybe upload blank documents if you don't have anything in there already. We will not be looking at the program narrative section of the application for funding. We will be looking at the budgets if you do submit budgets in there though. So just a couple of pieces on that. In terms of the Google Forms, again, reach out if you have any question as to whether or not it was submitted. We have had providers submit the application for funding piece without the program narrative, and they're working on the program narrative piece, I guess, up until Thursday, and that's completely fine. A lot of your information, if you've applied before, should be saved in that organizational information should be in the application for funding. All right. Any other questions? Last call for questions. All right. Well, thank you all for all of your patience. We know that this is a bit complicated. So we do appreciate all of you and, you guys reaching out. I know that this has been frustrating the past couple of weeks. So again, thank you for that. Feel free to reach out if you have anything, any issues. And